Dan and I want to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving. And as we go into the holiday season, it's actually going into the illness season.
It really is.
And the number one day for heart attacks is Christmas Day.
It is.
And it starts with Halloween and goes through Thanksgiving, holiday parties. And I'm sort of not okay with celebrating the birth of Jesus by stuffing ourselves with poisonous, toxic food.
Well, and you add to that the stress of traveling, the weather change, the time change, which actually is a stressor, all of those things. And a lot of people aren't happy during the holidays because they're missing someone or they're grieving or there's something going on or they're worried about finances because it's insane, the commercialism. There's so many factors that go into the holidays being stressful. And if you think about where the idea of Thanksgiving started, it started with the Pilgrims being thankful because they were hungry, they were struggling, and they had this, that was a day of gratitude for what they did have, and it's turned into instead this day of gluttony. And then it carries on through all of the holidays. And it's like, how did that happen? How do we switch from gratitude to gluttony? It's a good question.
Wow.
Right?
So how do brain warriors do the holidays? And, growing up for me, there was just, my dad's a grocer. So we always had food and lots of it.
Well, you're Lebanese. Let's just lay it out there. I'm Lebanese. You're Lebanese. And every time I walk in the door, there's someone stuffing food in my mouth. You're too skinny. You need to eat. You need to eat. Please.
By your grandmother who's
was way overweight,
tall and 200 pounds,
way overweight, and had diabetes and heart disease, and yeah.
Right. You need.
But that's typical of that culture
because we're not thinking about giving the gift of health. And as I was looking at our core values at Amen Clinics and Brain MD recently, one of our core values, and you should ask yourself what your core values are for your home, for your work, for your church, wherever. It's live the message. Because if you don't live the message, you suck as the messenger. And I actually changed live the message to authentic.
Yeah, be authentic.
Because what's authentic? If you're a brain warrior, you're armed, aware, and prepare to win this fight of your life. And one of the biggest battles for brain warriors is the holidays.
Right because it's 3 months. It's not, people think, oh, it's just a week or two. No, it's like a 3-month stretch of time. And the problem with that is it's when you start it then triggers this addiction cycle that becomes hard to break. We get people kicked off of their sugar and it's like, great, we get them all psyched. And then it triggers that cycle of addiction, and it triggers having the blues post holidays. It's like this whole thing we have to start all over again. And that's why I'm not a fan of New Year's resolutions, because people, studies show that within less than 6 weeks, people have given up on them. And you just keep repeating a cycle over and over and over, which you're reinforcing now. Oh, I'm going to do this every year. We just want you to have a system for doing this all the time and be thinking, so what I want to do is give people a couple of tips. By the end of this podcast or this week, we want them to have several tips that they can use, because if you do come from a family where food has been the vehicle that they celebrate love with, I want you to just think about that for a second. Food has no place being in the same place in your brain, occupying the same space in your brain as your love for a child, your love for another person. But yet that's what we do. So if that's
I've seen things online where 1-year-olds are putting their hands into cake and cupcakes, and then they're just slathered in it, and they're associating happiness with sugar and happiness.
Well, it happens in our own family. We know that.
Food.
Right.
Oh, no, and it horrifies me when it does. But before we go on, do you have review?
Yeah, and then we'll talk about the tips, because I want to give people tips by the end of this week. So we have a podcast here. I love this. I've already downloaded the Think Dirty app, and I'm amazed by the scores of the cleaning products that are targeted to all natural and green homes. There's so many. It's so great. I love listening to you both. I've learned so much and I'm officially obsessed. I might need a scan for that. Keep up the amazing work and keep creating brain warriors. What you do is so important. I left mental health after 15 years because I just felt current strategies were ineffective and we were not treating the root of the issue. Your podcast, books, and knowledge rang true for me from the moment I heard it. Thank you, thank you, thank you from Valerie. Love that. Thank you so much.
Well, we are so grateful. And if there's one thing you learned from this podcast, please post it on any of your social media sites, hashtag Brain Warriors Way podcast. You can also leave us a review or a question at brainwarriorswaypodcast.com, and we'll enter you into a raffle to win one of Tana's cookbooks. And we're going to announce a winner this week. So you have tips.
Well, so you want to, the first thing is to be aware. Is your family one of those families where if you don't eat what's cooked and you don't clean your plate up, they're going to be offended? So you have to have a strategy for that, right? So strategies can vary. For me, being very direct and just straightforward about it is the best strategy, but that doesn't work for everybody. So learning how to say no, thank you, and have a reason for it without offending people, for a lot of times that works. It's like, I'm really working on my health this year, and if they continue on, it's like, don't you want me to be healthy? Like having something that you say in response. If it's because
So we should role play this
a
little bit. Because I remember when one of my grandchildren was born, someone said, because I went over to help, and someone said, do you want something to eat? And I know she didn't want to give me healthy stuff. And I said, no, thank you. And she said, are you sure? And I said, yes. And she said, well, are you really sure that you don't want something to eat? This went on for 6 times. And I finally gently said, why do you want me to eat something I don't want to eat? And then it shut it down.
Right.
But because people are often socially anxious,
right,
they give in and damage themselves rather than set appropriate boundaries.
Right.
And we just had John Townsend on, who's the author of Boundaries.
Right. And another thing you could say is, I'm really here for the company. Like that's the thing I came for, is I'm here for the love. I'm here for the company. I'm not here for the food.
So I'd love to hear how you'd respond. So,
well, people don't usually challenge me that much, but my family does. My family does.
Don't you want a piece of cake?
No, thank you.
Are you sure it's really good?
I know. I know it is, and I would actually love that cake, but it doesn't love me back, and I'm really working on my health. But thank you so much.
Everybody else is having it.
I know. I'm here for the people, not the cake, but thank you. I'm going to go get some fruit.
Low glycemic fruit?
Right. But I'll be right back. I'm going to come. I want to actually visit with you.
But you're too skinny.
I guess I'm just going to have to be too skinny. I feel good at this weight.
So you think you're better than us?
If that means I'm not eating cake, I guess so. If your idea of being better than is not eating cake, I guess you're going to have to deal with that.
All right. Do it with me.
Would you like a piece of cake?
No, thank you.
Are you sure? It's really good.
I'm as sure as I can.
Jackie spent all day in the kitchen cooking and making these goodies and these pastries and this cake, and she really wants you to have a piece.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Really?
It's like Jackie spent a lot of time
trying to kill us all.
So I actually had a funny thing. My dad was sick, and I put him on a gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free diet. And then my mom spent all day making bread for him.
That's hilarious.
And I went over and saw that, and I'm like, Dad, she's trying to kill you early. I think she's got a guy on the side.
That's so funny.
My 88-year-old mother.
My point is if you want to do this, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you will find an excuse. That's just the bottom line. If you want to be healthy, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. Now, we aren't saying that people are perfect. We understand they're not perfect. If you're going to have a bite of something, so what I do is I have a 3-bite rule. If I'm going to have something, first of all, we have a 95-5 rule. That's the first rule, is 95-5. 95% of what we eat is, our brain warrior strategies. The 5%, Okay, I'm not going to obsess about it, feel guilty about it. If I eat something, if I know I'm going to have something, I have it and I'm done and I get back on track. I don't sit there and go round and round and use it as an excuse to fail. Don't use it as an excuse to fail. And a 3-bite rule will keep you from totally sabotaging yourself and triggering that cycle of addiction. So Jackie's Cake, if I decided 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say no to it, and I'll tell you why. Because frosting for me is crack. It's just my crack. So when I start eating frosting, it just starts this downward spiral for me. Now, if it were something else and I knew it wasn't that thing for me that triggers me to just start my downward spiral. If you're an alcoholic, you're not going to go drink, right? Because you know it's going to trigger you into this spiral. So if it were something else and I decided, all right, I'm going to taste it. I'm going to have no more than 3 bites, not elephant-sized bites, but 3 bites, because then it's like I've satisfied it. It's not going to be any more satisfying to go gorge. In fact, you're going to feel bad. But the 3 bites, then move on. Then go get some, fruit.
So when we first started to help people with their weight, our first program was actually in 2009, and it was called Lose Weight Through the Holidays. And the week of Christmas for our group, the average weight loss was 2.5 pounds. Because you don't have to be sick in January.
Right.
And if you don't want to be sick in January, now's the time to start. And you just want to have the right mindset. You can get well any time. I think doing it on January 1st is just sort of silly. That when you get the mindset, I'm going to start now, not tomorrow, but today, now, that's when you'll really be a brain warrior.
So I actually would like to show them something. In the cookbook, in the Brain Warriors Way cookbook, I don't know if you can see this. You probably can't see it. It's a Brain Warrior holiday meal plan. It literally goes through every step of how to have a Brain Warrior approved holiday with recipes and strategies. All the tips we're giving you, plus a whole bunch more ways for you to break your own cycle of addiction. If you're starting to feel like, okay, I want to eat healthy, but I'm feeling like I'm going to give in. Like, what do you do? How do you encourage your family and friends? How do you have them help encourage you? Like, there's a whole strategy in here along with recipes, whole bunch of them that are beautiful, delicious, nutritious, and are not going to set you up to fail.
So what's one thing you learned? The one thing I learned is you don't have to be sick in the holidays. What's one thing you learned? Post it on any of your social media sites, hashtag Brain Warriors Way podcast. Leave us comment, a question, or a review at brainwarriorswaypodcast.com, or a review on Apple or any of your podcast sites. We are so grateful that you're with us.
If you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're considering coming to Amen Clinics or trying some of the brain healthy supplements from BrainMD, you can use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com, or a 10% discount on all supplements at brainmdhealth.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.